Joining us now with more on the recordings and the debate over what the president may have said is attorney Vikas Bajaj. Thank you for being with us. The big controversy in that soundbite there was it cash or was it check? Rudy Giuliani says it was check. That was what Trump suggested to pay by. Of course, the other side says, no, this is kind of like a mafia deal going down. So what do we got here? What criminal charges potentially are we looking at if it was cash?
Well, you'd have to determine which subject you're talking about. Now, let's look at the two primary subjects we have here. That would be Michael Cohen and then potentially down through many connections, President Trump. Now, specifically in the search warrant authorizing the search of lawyer Cohen's house, office, and laptop. Now, there have been no criminal charges, let's be aware. So what we have to rely upon is the search warrant. The search warrant specifically asks for items and evidence to be seized which are related to the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels. So one would ask, in order to answer your question, where's the crime? This is interesting, it's fun, it's great, there are very big ethical issues with it, but where's the crime? I believe the crime would have to be a loose connection at best between the payment of that money through an ongoing retainer agreement with Mr. Cohen's office after the payment was agreed to, apparently, which would then circumvent campaign financing disclosure laws, because the argument would be President Trump would pay his attorney Michael Cohen to get rid of a defamatory story which could influence a positive outcome given the election in 2016. Frankly, I think prosecutors and judges look at statements like this. They say, hey, juries can't listen to it unless the parties can explain it.
So the crime is not reporting that $130,000 for that purpose, correct?
If you look at the search warrant and what they were looking for in regards to the search warrant, that's what it was. However, this is going to be one cog in a very big wheel. We don't know what Michael Cohen has found himself involved in.
Would it really be a crime unless it was campaign funds that were used? Otherwise, if Trump just used it out of his personal bank account and said, here, pay her off in cash or check, is that a crime?
No, I agree with you 100%, and that's really where the technical difference comes in. Whether it was personal, it still has to be disclosed. Whether it's campaign funds, that definitely has to be exposed. But the idea is, let's determine if there's a conflict of interest or undue influence in an election by finding out what candidates spend their money on.
Vic, whatever happened to attorney-client privilege? I mean, this is such a tangled web just following this story, and there are so many angles to it. But ultimately, the feds are really after Michael Cohen for a number of reasons, going through everything that he has. Isn't a lot of this proprietary secret?
I absolutely believe so. And what's happened is we've seen a gradual degradation of the value of the attorney-client privilege. Even the district attorney's office here in San Diego has authored a search warrant recently, 2 years ago, to go into the personal belongings of, for instance, an attorney who was representing an individual that was under investigation. Now, in that case, a very respected judge, Judge Chuck Rogers, approved of the validity of that warrant. So we have to take that at face value. However, we have to look at what is globally happening here. A criminal defense attorney has a very specific task. That is, how to conduct damage control within the bounds of the law. If a defense attorney is not allowed to advise their client of how to take care of a potentially harmful matter, whether that be legally, politically, or personally, that's a very dangerous road to trek upon. Now, we have President Trump, candidate Trump, but also father and husband Trump. Now, I have the privilege of representing many people in our community and throughout the U.S. that are affluent individuals. And unfortunately, with that affluence comes a big target. There are individuals that say, well, you know what? Mr. Bajaj, for instance, may have a lot to lose. Let's sue him for something absolutely nuts. Well, if most people don't have the personality I do, which is, you never give up and you stand up for the truth, but people are willing to write a check to see a problem go away. This festers the economy, the global economy, our social economy of degrading the trust between an attorney and a client. The consequences are far-reaching, and it's quite frankly sad.
It's going to be interesting to see where all this goes.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Thanks a lot, Vic.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Bajaj.
Likewise.